leading up to the primaries, we've had the governor on, and her challenger, Andy Biggs, was just on the other day. We've had several others. And now we have Dr. Zuhdi Jasser, a prominent physician here in town. What's your specialty, by the way?
Internal medicine, primary care.
Say that again?
Internal medicine, primary care.
Yeah. Okay. And now you're the Republican candidate taking on Greg Stanton.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What happened? I always like to know if there's a light bulb moment, or just kind of slowly but surely it dawned on you that you need to represent that district in Congress, or was there a moment where you're like, I need to do this?
Well, listen, I've been in primary care taking care of families here in the district for over 27 years. And, you get to know the families from different generations. And I feel their pain. I know their pain, whether it's related to affordability, not only paying for their homes and the American dream, but also as the son of immigrants. I've seen my own family. I was blessed to be born free in Wisconsin and came down here after serving in the Navy for 11 years. I was a Navy doc operationally for 3 years on the USS El Paso in Operation Restore Hope, and then was a physician to Congress and the U.S. Supreme Court. Then my parents came to Arizona, joined them here, and after 9/11, our country changed. I was basically, as a immigrant from the Middle East, my family's immigrants, realized that the conflicts there chased us here, and I felt an obligation to serve, and I've been a person of service my whole life. And understood the need to push back against big Islam, if you will, big healthcare, and saw what happened to my profession during COVID, where things were just, businesses were shut down, decisions were made for families. My wife and I saw our 3 kids stay at home in high school for no reason. They were not affected by COVID. So here we have a district where the current representative, Greg Stanton, really has not held a real job for over 20 years. He's been in the office for quite a while. He's a D.C. creature versus understanding the families. And a light bulb goes off with me a couple years ago in which I said, I'm not in politics. I'm not a politician. Mm-hmm. But we need someone who understands the pain of families. And we need someone who's not a D.C. creature in Washington who is going to listen to our community.
You don't think Greg Stanton gets that, though?
I don't. Absolutely not. He had a socialist run against him in the primary and not once made a statement about the radicalization in his own party. Not once stood up for small businesses and free markets and prosecuted and made the case against socialism. He just sort of gets along by getting along. I've talked to people in the district. Not one can tell me what they've done other than maybe transactionally for bringing tax money home, but he voted against tax-free Social Security, voted against, stopping taxes on tips and on overtime. Why would he vote against that? He let the border stay wide open with crime and drugs coming into our district, into our state, for the entire Biden administration, and did nothing with that.
So as a physician, your daily work obviously puts you in contact with a lot of people and people in your district. So what are you hearing from them, specifically in District 4, that they are most concerned about, that when you come into office, you will make the best effort to address?
Thank you for that, Desiree. And I'll tell you, the most important thing to me is, I'm an independent voice. I don't check the registration of my patients before I see them. And I've got support from families from the left to the right who say, we trust you as a doctor. Right now in my clinic, I'm seeing folks that are exhausted, dehydrated, and I remind them about how to deal with the heat and that what diseases and afflictions can affect them. And my greatest asset going to Congress is I build coalitions caring for every patient. Build specialist coalitions that treat their disease, and we don't look at our politics. And that's what we need in Congress. Greg Stanton is a creature of the Democratic Party. He's never stood up to Schumer. He claims to not be a socialist, but yet never makes the argument. You see the radicals in Michigan, for example, Abdul Sayed taking the party apparatus. And, the families that I talk to want a representative that's going to not only keep our district safe, but Arizona safe, but remember what it is to be an American. And I'm the son of immigrants. I'm blessed to have been born here. My parents escaped dictatorship in the Middle East, and I served in the Navy. So my patients want people who've served the community understand how difficult it is to make ends meet. And I'm looking to do significant reforms in healthcare so that we can make this economy work better. Because the most unaffordable thing right now is health insurance premiums. And that's going through the roof because of the consolidation in healthcare. And Greg Stanton's done nothing to address that.
You said you want to be able to push back against big Islam. I'm sure you believe in a multicultural society, so what are you talking about there?
Yeah, so my work since 9/11, I've founded the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, and I've debated from Oxford to Phoenix about why my faith that I love, the best place that I can practice it is not in a Muslim-majority country, it's here in America, because this country was founded on fighting theocracy, on giving religious freedom, that first liberty. And bottom line is that we've not gone through that, and being Muslim has become an identity. The DEI movement on the far left has basically had this bigotry of low expectations when it comes to Muslims. And you see radicals like Abdul Sayyid in Michigan come to prominence as socialists that don't really represent Americans, but it's almost from an apologetic standpoint that they rise up. So my faith, being one of pushing back against organized Islamic theocracy, like the 80 million Iranians that don't want the terror regime, like the millions that don't want the Muslim Brotherhood, that is the message that I can prosecute on day one, to marginalize the Ilhan Omars, Rashida Tlaibs, and others that Greg Stanton has allowed to take the megaphone. Right now, his party is looking at AOC as a presidential candidate, which is arm in arm with Ilhan Omar. That's not the America I know. He voted for men and women's sports. That's not the America I know. The vast majority of Americans want independent voices that are rational and ethical.
And yet, he has the power of incumbency, which, I guess if it's a close call, if a voter goes into the voting booth, they take a look and say, well, that person, whoever it might be in whatever job, maybe they don't have a reason to vote against them, so they vote for them. In your district, how do you fight back against that? Because it would seem as though the power of incumbency would be a big advantage for him.
Absolutely, and this is, I think, the biggest obstacle in the reality that I'm trying to educate our voters about, is that this district is new since 21. The precincts in this district have voted for Republicans in statewide races, for Ducey, for Kimberly Yee. If you look at the current precincts, it added Mesa, majority of Mesa. It includes Northwest Chandler, Tempe, all of Tempe, and Ahwatukee, Phoenix. So if you look at the numbers, it's a small district size-wise, but the 850,000 members of this district are a very independent voice, but there's more Republican registrations than Democrat, with Republicans increasing. So I tell, if you abandon the media narrative, the Cook Report puts out numbers based on what they see statistically, and the polls are often wrong, and it is wrong until the voters decide another way, and all of a sudden it becomes a swing district. So the voters now have a real choice. There's only been one other candidate that's run against Stanton in the current makeup of this district. So, the district is in play. And if you look at what happened on the Democratic Party in the far left, they put districts in play for the Democrats that weren't before. So why can't we do the same to bring back a voice that I can hit the ground running in Congress to prosecute the case against the things that are ripping our country apart, whether it's, the economy, health insurance premiums that are unaffordable, national security, the conflict in the Middle East. These are things that I've been arguing globally and building coalitions of gay rights activists, women's rights activists across the country, across the world. And Greg Stanton has nothing to show for his 4 terms in Congress.
And do you think you're doing enough to win over the independents in your district? Because, they're a big part of, your district as well.
Absolutely. I tell people to go to our website at Z4AZ, Z4AZ.com, and see the message about small businesses, about rational governance, about giving people a voice. I'm a phone call away. Talk to my patients. I've had supporters from the Basha family all the way to, conservatives on the right that have been very active in helping me, and folks that might not agree with me on every issue, but really see the fact that we need America as a meritocracy. So why put somebody in office that just sort of plants himself there and gets a light rail station named after him but doesn't do anything else? That's absurd. Just because he was a mayor of Phoenix, let's bring in somebody new who's seen the pain of our families, that can actually prosecute the case for our country and bring us together rather than simply fill a space as an empty suit.
Well, I am sure that we have reached out to him. I'm sure Dave has. Hopefully he'll come on, and we'll hear from him as well. Yeah. Shapes up like it's going to be a very interesting race.
Absolutely. Dr. Jasser, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate your time today.